You mentioned that in India there's a different meaning for feminism. Some people get afraid of the term. Is it probably because that they feel that it's been shoved by the West into them, a concept from the West, from the colonizers, the mentality? I mean, recently Obama was in India and he said that India should have more religious tolerance. But if I'm sitting in India, I would think, does he have the moral high ground to say that? I mean, he comes to my country and talks about religious tolerance. Would he say the same here in America? I mean, so the question becomes, is it a concept of the West that is being asked to be practiced by the East? So, I mean, this has been, some leaders have been vocal about this, like Singapore's Lee Kuan Yew. He said, we have our ways and we'll stick to that. So, when it's a partisan issue, how will you deal with that? Also, the cities in India might look at this differently than the villages. So this is where the nationalism kicks in. So the cities might love the concept of what the leaders come with, but the villages need not. So when you're avoiding their perspectives or opinions, as in the villagers, don't you think you're just feeding into the nationalist ideas?
A question of a Western concept, etc. It's always used when it's about social justice issues and empowering women somehow. Men have absolutely no problem wearing blue jeans and adopting economic concepts that have come from the West that are to the advantage of you know, whatever they want to pursue. And I'm just giving you one example. So the whole issue of feminism being a Western construct is something that's bandied about, and that's really not true. Because if you look at, and clearly you're from India and I am too, and I apologize to the others because I'm going to go into a little bit of Indian history, etc. If you go into ancient Indian texts, I think there's a lot of feminism that can be found that predates any kind of feminism that you would have found in Western culture.
I actually started my career doing impact investing in India, and I worked in a city. I worked in Bangalore, but I also worked probably a week every month in the villages. And it's actually not even as deep as like the text of like where all the feminist theory comes from. Like, these women want to work and they want to do interesting, deeper things with their lives, and it's not, nobody told them they should do that. That's organic, that's like coming from them. So I understand that like maybe it could feel like you're pushing, but if anything, they're looking around and seeing, oh hey, other people are getting to do this, and like, yeah, we want in too. That's at least how it always kind of felt for me when I was doing that work.
And when were you there?
I was there from 2013 to 2014.
Okay, so not so long ago.
No, a few years ago.
So what you're saying is that from your experience, the desire was organic to want to be engaged in some way.
And it was very difficult, I think, for a lot of women to figure out how to do that within the context of the traditional kind of family system that they were operating in.
But again, you're talking about the middle class.
No.
Because women, the poor classes in India have no choice. I mean, women have worked. They do all the work. They work in the fields. They work in the homes. They work.
Well, the organization that I was working with was actually BPO, so it was a little bit more. It was like a little bit higher level work. I was teaching them how to use computers and.
So then I'm talking about the middle class then.
Well, middle class in a village. So.
Yeah. That's middle class in India is very different from the middle class
it wasn't
in the
middle.
US, so, yeah.
It wasn't middle class in the cities though, so it was a little bit different. But I think that it was very difficult because they now were in a situation where they were making more money than their husbands were, who were, you know, working in like on farms. They all of a sudden they had more money in the family than their husbands did, and that was a very new shift in the power dynamic, and it became very challenging for them to negotiate that over time. So the women actually weren't, they didn't come from middle class. They were being put into opportunity. They were given opportunities to develop their skills and do more than maybe their parents had, or their husbands were, or their children might be able to.
I mean, I spent 4 years working in the Human Rights Council in Geneva, and you know, this was a very often we had this type of discussions, right? You say, oh, you want to talk about women's rights, whatever it is. This is, you know, don't come and tell us, you know, these things, and this is a Western idea. And then you think, but, you know, we have the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. All of us have signed it. Well, we might say, but you forced us to sign it. We really didn't like it. You know, we shouldn't have signed it, kind of. And then you think, well, you know, maybe we should get away a bit from that kind of way of trying to avoiding the actual issue. Because I think change, whatever change you're talking about, there will always be a lot of people that resist. There will always be people that feel that they're losing something, you know. And in this case, it's very often the fact that you feel that I'm going to lose power because it's going to go to someone else. It's hard to see that it's a win-win thing. And I think either you can, when this happened in Sweden, they couldn't blame, you know, India, so they blamed probably, you know, the priest, or I don't know who they decided to blame, or probably not the priest, but whoever else. And now, if you come from a country in Southern Africa, for example, although they don't really do that, but just as an example, they could say, oh, this is a Western concept and we don't have to bother with it. You know, so I think it's more an issue that, you know, you find someone that you can, you know, easily use as an excuse to not actually look at the specific issue, of the substance of that issue, and make up your mind on that issue. No matter who planted it in your head, no matter where it might come from, but really try to step out of that sort of instinct of blaming something or a system or colonialism or whatever it might be, or your father or your grandmother, but actually try to look at, do I think this is right, you know, in this specific point? And I think that is our challenge in the UN, not least, when we have these debates, when we come from so different contexts, is to look at the substance and not on your, you know, allies or from where in the world you come.